What's up, gamers? Welcome to the video. My name is Koobs, and we've just got the release of Season 1.5 for Marvel Rivals. The mid-season patch is upon us. We've got some balance changes, we've got some new heroes, and today we're going to be talking about my personal favorite hero, Captain America. So thanks so much for being here. We're going to talk about the balance changes that happened with Cap's kit today, but I also want to talk about the mindset of playing Captain America and the idea of playing a Vanguard in Marvel Rivals. And this is also going to be coming from somebody who I don't have a lot of experience with playing a tank role in these sort of hero shooters. So I'm just an average gamer, hopefully much like yourself, who can give you some tips and tricks for being better at Captain America in both quick play and competitive games. So let's jump into some of those changes that happened with the release of Season 1.5. Cap got some quality of life buffs, for sure. The first thing here on the list is we can now deploy our shield while we're in the air. Really great change. We could jump with our shield out before, but if we were in the air, we couldn't put out our shield for some reason. So that's going to be a great change. Our shield throw is going to come out faster, which is really nice, and it's also going to be easier for us to build our ultimate. But the main change that occurred here is that they separated our Sentinel Strike, which is our shield throw that we get from our basic attacks, from our melee attacks. So before, it was all wired together. If you did a punch, when you hit the enemy twice, you get your shield throws, and if you did any sort of attack, you would throw your shield. Now they've separated it, so even once you've built up your shield throws, you can still just deploy your punches. Really great change. Also, when we're airborne, we can now do our melee attacks as well without triggering our shield slam, right? So the Sentinel Strike and the shield slam are still tied together. So if you do have your shield throws and you're trying to throw a shield towards the ground, when you have your shield slam ability on active, you're gonna prioritize that shield slam still. Maybe in the future they'll kind of separate things further, but I think that we're in a really good place balance wise with Cap right now, and I think it's a really great time to start learning this hero. There's a lot of versatility with a hero like Captain America, and that's one of the things that I really love about the way that he's designed. He's a very mobile character. He's got a lot of mobility. He's kind of different than some of the other tanks because even though he has a shield, he doesn't necessarily want to be on the front line, but that doesn't mean that he can't be on the front line. And that's the big thing that I want to start to talk about here, is mostly kind of like the mindset and the moment-to-moment decision-making and gameplay that's going to happen when you're playing Cap. You can solo tank as Cap, but it's not going to be as easy, and certainly not when your healer's on the ground in the first 3 seconds, of the match. But what we're going to see here, this is a gold lobby of competitive play, and we're going to see Cap kind of hold the line here, of course, after we respawn. But what we're going to see is how Cap can be used in a variety of situations, and hopefully through the gameplay that you're seeing, you'll be able to pick up on some of the things that I'm doing throughout the match while I kind of talk about the mindset and the mentality of what I think it means to be a Captain America player. Now, I should probably start by saying, first things first, we all have our levels of investment when it comes to, how hard we feel we're going to try in a video game like Marvel Rivals. If we're playing quick play and we're just trying to have some fun, I get it. Just turn off your brain, enjoy yourself. That's what the game is supposed to be about. But some of us try to get a little bit more competitive, and we might even go into the ranked, lobbies and try to improve our game sense and our ranking by climbing the ladder and different things like that. So I say this, take all of this with a grain of salt, but in a lot of ways, Marvel Rivals is a mental game. As far as the mechanical skill of things go, yeah, sure, some of us are going to get, are going to be a little bit better mechanically with our aim, with our game sense, with understanding, the refresh time on our cooldowns and the ultimate economy and different things like that you might hear but not really understand in the, the most broad ways. But one of the things that's consistent through all of that is the mental game and the mindset that comes into playing Marvel Rivals, and especially when it comes to playing Vanguard role. One of the things that I find that that happens to my mindset when I'm playing as Cap is that I don't really value the scoreboard very much. If I am looking at the scoreboard, it's oftentimes to kind of gauge how my own performance is, maybe to see how the other team is faring, or how my teammates are doing. A lot of the times when I'm playing Cap, in the moment-to-moment gameplay, I'm trying to make assessments of where I'm needed and where I can create the most value. If I notice that the enemy has a weak link, if there's a enemy support or DPS that I can find, and try to take in a one-on-one, if I can press those sort of advantages and, apply pressure to the enemy team, then maybe that's what I need to do for that match. But sometimes we're paired with teammates who maybe we feel like they aren't necessarily holding their own weight, and maybe judging their performance kind of frustrates us a little bit. I'm sure we've all been there. We've got a teammate who's just like, you're just not sure what's going on, what's not clicking for them. They just keep running in and dying, whatever the situation may be. And I find that Cap is really good at kind of applying a band-aid to that part of the team if you can kind of support that weak link on your own team, if that makes sense. When I look at the roster of duelists, aside from our flyers, from our airborne heroes, pretty much every single duelist Cap can support in some way, right? So if you find that you have a duelist on your team who's kind of struggling, then buddy up with them. Try to press the advantage. Try to find 2-on-1 situations and help them gain value. Help them build their ultimate. Help them, do some damage to the other team and take advantage of those opportunities instead of getting tilted about it and feeling like there's nothing you can do, because oftentimes there is. It might not be the most efficient, but again, if we have a weak link, we need to reinforce that the same way that we're going to try to bully the enemy's weak link. Here, look at this. Every time that I play on this map, I try to hot route right around to the objective. Why am I doing this? Because I am creating pressure. I'm creating space. We hear a lot of this sort of talk and conversation, making space, taking space. What is that? How does that work? What? I don't get it sometimes, right? What I just did there, the enemy's team is focused on my team. I go around the enemy's team and put pressure on the objective. The enemy's team is now pinched in between my team moving forward and me on the objective. They have to retreat to get to the objective, so they're falling back. Hopefully we can press that advantage, and in doing so, we're able to capture the point. See, I was able to create that space as a Vanguard without having to engage in the frontline battle that was happening. I created that space, but it was up to my team to take that space. They need to fill that space. They need to push that advantage. And now here, one of the things that I notice at a certain point in the gameplay here, I think it's coming up, I'm just going to kind of stop for a second. I'm just going to do what I call sit. The team's fighting, we're pressing the advantage, we're getting some kills, we're knocking out the enemies. The enemy's using some ultimates, we've got some ultimates happening, but at a certain point there, just kind of sit in place. Don't press too far, because if you keep pressing without your team, you're going to get taken out. You got to kind of find the flow with a hero like Cap. See, the whole team's back here. We still have a team fight on the objective. We were just all the way up, on the front line, but we need to fall back. We need to bolster our back line. So there's this versatility because of his mobility, because of the ability that he has to kind of cover a long distance in a quick amount of time. Cap can kind of be everywhere. And I think a good Cap is kind of scary in that sense, in that you don't know where he is, where he's coming from, and he's just kind of chaos. He's creating a lot of havoc on the battlefield. And that's one of the things that I really love about his playstyle, is that you can just kind of be this like wrecking ball, especially when you think about his ultimate. I know that a lot of what I'm talking about here today is a bit abstract, and it's more about like the mindset of things. But I did want to take a second to appreciate Cap's ultimate, because he's the only Vanguard hero with this sort of defensive ultimate. All of our Vanguard heroes, their ultimates are kind of focused on either doing damage, or we have ultimates like Groot, which is kind of like grouping people up, or Doctor Strange, which is kind of like stunning everybody, right? So we have these sort of control abilities, or we have these damage abilities, but then we have Cap, and we have his ultimate, and it pretty much makes him unkillable, right? In a lot of circumstances, if you're in your ultimate, unless you're taking on the whole team by yourself, you should hopefully be able to survive, which is really, I find, added bonus to his ability to do all of those things that I was previously saying, of bolstering the team, of finding those ways to kind of support your team in the ways that they need to be supported, or pick on the enemy team in the ways that you know that you can exploit them. But overall, I think that one of the things that I like about Cap is, again, that mindset of not really focusing so much on who has the most kills and the most damage and the most healing. It's whether or not we win or we lose. We're going to win together as a team, or we're going to lose together as a team. So I could either get upset with my teammates and think that they're not necessarily pulling their weight, or I could actually take the initiative that somebody like Captain America would take and find the ways to bolster my teammates in the ways that I know how. Like, let's step away from Marvel Rivals for a second. What do we know about Captain America? How have we seen him fight, right? He's always doing these team-ups with his allies. He's always helping them get the edge, right? He's helping them shine. He's using their strengths to his team's advantage, and he's thinking about the ways that he can kind of be creative to win. And that's, I think, all of the things that you, as a player, can deploy in playing Captain America in Rivals, which I think is awesome. And he's really well designed as a character. I think that they did a really great job with him. I think that he kind of embodies that super soldier to me. And he's not, going out there and just knocking people out in one punch, but you know what he says? He can do this all day. So hopefully the gameplay that's been happening in the background has been informative or, educational in some ways. Some of the things that I've picked up on just while watching this play as I'm recording my commentary is that I'm noticing that I am very aware of where the med packs are at, and I try to be self-sustaining, self-sufficient when I can, rather than calling for a healer and possibly catching them out of position just to try to help me out. I try to find those opportunities to, to heal myself. I think I even went all the way back to the spawn room at one point, because that would have been quicker than it would have been to go out and get killed. So having that sort of a mindset of, being able to sustain yourself and not necessarily relying on your healers when you don't have to, so that they can, use those resources elsewhere. And then throughout this, I saw, how I was able to kind of create space by being all over the battlefield, right? We pushed the objective. We were able to help with the initial push, and then really just kind of carved our way all the way through the end there. And then here in this last bit, this is just us playing defense and holding down this point. And we're able to do so as Cap, because he's got the tools that he needs to make that happen. So again, hopefully you picked up on some things. If you have any questions or anything like that, again, I'm just a guy. I like playing this game. I've made it to Gold 2 in both, Season 0 and Season 1. I'm not a world beater. I'm just, a little bit above average when it comes to video games. But I think that one of the things that I'm good at is having a good, healthy mindset. So the Thing just came out. He's been a ton of fun. I'm going to go play some more of him. And yeah, remember, have fun with it. That's like the whole point of playing video games, is to de-stress, to relax, to have some fun. So if you're not having fun, in my opinion, you're doing it wrong. But I want to thank you again so much for being here. I have been, and always will be, Coobs. It's clobbering time, gamers. Peace and love, gamers.
Closer to victory. Thanks a lot.